Hey you guys, I'm going to run through using colored pencils with you. So we're going to talk about color schemes, and then we're going to talk about different colored pencil techniques that you can do with your colored pencils for your graffiti project. So if you open your graffiti sketchbook, order of activities, notes on color and colored pencils. That's what we're doing today. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to take these notes and how to use a few techniques that you'll need for your graffiti alphabet and eventually your graffiti letter. So, come on over to here. So I'm going to start with the date. Today's the 20th for me. Might be the future for you. And I'm going to put number 5, colored pencil techniques. I'll be honest, I used to hate using colored pencils. But now that I know how to use them, they're one of my favorite tools. Okay, so we are going to start with warm colors. And warm colors evoke feelings of warmth. Things like sunsets. When you think of a sunset, think of the colors that you see. So evoke feelings of sunset or sunlight, fire. Think of the colors that you see. Heat. Okay, so these colors are red, orange, and yellow. So grab your colored pencil, red, orange, and yellow. Okay, and then there are also tints and shades of that. So pink, for instance, would be a warm color. This goldenrod color would be a warm color. Or even cream. Cream is a warm color. Okay, I like to call these cozy colors. They make you feel warm. Okay, the next color scheme is cool colors. These are colors that remind you of things like the sky, water, ice, snow. Cool colors have a calming and soothing effect. You'll see a lot of cool colors at doctor's offices. You don't want to see red, right? If you're at a doctor's office or the hospital, you want to see something soothing. So cool colors are blue, colors green, and purple. That is green. It's just a dark green. So of course, you know, your lime green, your mint green, your lilac or lavender would also be a cool color. Different shades of and tints of blue, so your aquamarine or teal, those are cool colors as well. These are also called analogous colors. Analogous colors are next to each other on the color wheel. So warm and cool colors are actually analogous. So that's why they look good together, is because they sit next to each other on the color wheel. But you can also have analogous colors with like purple, red, and orange, or yellow, green, and blue. Okay, that's just like a little side note. When you go to create your graffiti and you're like, what colors would look good together? Analogous colors look really good together. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about value using shadows and highlights, but I'm going to show you how you can use different pressure to create values using one color. So vary pressure to create different values And remember, value is the contrast between light and dark using one color. Sorry. So, and you can do this using different pressure on the pencil. So you would start with light pressure. Right? It's easy to do. It's very light. It's very quick. You see a lot of white space coming through, so you don't see it's a heavy color. You can add a little more pressure, a little less white space coming through, a deeper color. So that's if you add medium pressure. Heavy pressure, you're going to push down on that pencil. You still see some white space coming through. One way you can combat that additional white space is to do heavy pressure in two directions. So start one direction, turn the paper, and go another direction. Okay, that way you get more of a solid color. So heavy pressure in two directions. So for instance, we go one direction. They broke up. And then you go another direction. All right. Another thing that you can do is layer your color. So layer or build up color. So let's go with this nice blue color. I don't like to use heavy pressure because if you are coloring for an hour and you're using heavy pressure, your hand is going to get really tired and you're not going to enjoy the process. So one thing that you can do is use light pressure and just layer your color. So I'm going to use light pressure. Don't do as I do. Always use a sharp pencil because you'll get a better effect. I'm going to layer my, I'm going to turn my page and I'm going to go another direction to layer. So when you layer your color, you want to go different directions because paper has what's called a tooth. It's a texture, and you want to get the color in between that texture. Let me just keep layering it to get a good solid color. Another thing you can do is called scrumbling, I think that's what it's called. It sounds weird. It's a weird word. It's you can draw make a little circular motion. It's almost like doing curlicue hair, right? You ever do curlicue hair when you draw hair? But you're doing it on a really, really small, tiny scale. And you're just layering your color, building it up. You can apply a little more pressure. You're going to get an even, solid color. Okay, but you always want to layer your color, or you always want to color in one direction and then another to layer. You don't want to color all over the place like a child, because you can do better than that. You can also build up colors on top of each other to create a new color. So for instance, I could start with pink as my base color. Sorry, you can't see that. Pink is my base color, and then I can go over it with this vermilion, and it creates a new color. So you can use layering to blend colors. If maybe you have a color in mind, but you don't have the actual pencil, you can layer to make You can crosshatch when you layer to make an more interesting texture. Okay, so this, or an interesting pattern, not really texture, right? So you could do something like that. And then the last thing I'm going to show you at the very bottom of my paper, if you need to go to another page, it's totally fine. Gradients. So gradients are when you go from light to dark and you transition your colors. So for instance, if I wanted to do a gradient with green, and I just want to do solid green, you can start light, right? Vary the pressure, start light, add a little more pressure, make that color darker, and then even more pressure. So you're essentially blending your color to make this nice transition between light and dark. Okay, so that's one way you can do gradients. Or you can do a gradient that fades into another color. So say I want to take a light pink to a darker purple. I have all of these colors here. And I would choose the lightest color first. I'm going to use the same pressure the whole time. So I'm going to use light pressure. That's what I like to do. I don't like to use heavy pressure, medium pressure. And I'm going to blend this in by layering it. Next color. Purple, my deeper purple. Okay, so it's gradually getting darker. That's why it's a gradient. And my last, darkest purple. All right. So you're going to use gradients when you go to make your graffiti alphabet. So for instance, I used a gradient right here, fading it from this mulberry color to this yellow color, right? Okay. Hope this helped. Keep in mind that I do grade based on craftsmanship, so I want you to take your time using colored pencils. It can be a little frustrating. You do need to be patient when you use colored pencils because you want them, you want your colors to be smooth and uniform and your texture to be nice. And I'm going to show you in the next video how to set up your graffiti alphabet. Okay, have a good one.